Hi everybody! Toyota is one of the most extraordinary companies in the world. And the attribute that makes it so incredible is the fact that Toyota is a company that literally had every possible obstacle for failure. First of all, Japan being such a small country had very less natural resources and very less population. Therefore, both raw material and labor were extremely costly. In addition to that, Japan is a land of natural disasters where earthquake and tsunami are frequent and could destroy your plant within a minute. Thirdly, when Toyota was just 2 years into business, World War II happened where bombs were dropping from the sky. And during such a time, let alone business, even survival was a very big deal. On top of that, after the Hiroshima Nagasaki bombing and the World War II, Japan's economy was in complete ruins. And lastly, with all these odds against them, they were in direct competition with the giants of the United States like General Motors and Ford Motors. And yet, in spite of these obstacles, Toyota has emerged as one of the most successful automobile companies in the world. In fact, in 2008, it even became the largest car manufacturer in the world. In 2016, Toyota's market capitalization was more than Ford, General Motors and Honda combined. Now this begs the question, how did Toyota become such a successful company amidst such terrible market conditions? What exactly was their business strategy, and more importantly, what can we learn from this incredible case study? Before we move on, I want to introduce you to a wonderful language app called Duolingo. Duolingo is an app wherein you can learn more than 40 languages for free. Now this obviously includes English, but that's not why it is the top 10 free learning app in the Play Store. Duolingo is extremely popular because they have gamified the entire process of learning any language. For example, while making this video, I was kind of fidgeting around the application to see if I could learn some Japanese words. And trust me guys, it's surprisingly fun and surprisingly easy. So if you're someone who wants to learn a foreign language like German or Japanese for university purposes or even for your professional agenda, I would highly recommend you to use this application because it's both fun and free. So if you want to learn a foreign language, download the application from the link in the description and let me know how has your experience been with learning a foreign language. This is a story that dates back to 1950 Japan. Now it's already been 13 years since Toyota has been founded and Japan was in complete ruins after the World War II. During the war, Toyota barely survived by pivoting between making trucks and cars for the military needs. The condition of the company was so bad that even after 13 years of efforts, while Toyota Motors produced just 11,000 automobiles in the entire year, on the other side, Ford Motors produced more than 1 million automobiles in the exact same year. And this massive disparity in production prompted Toyota's top manager, E.D. Toyota, and several of his engineers to visit the Ford's Rouge plant in an attempt to learn how do they exactly improve their manufacturing processes. But after this visit, they realized that simply copying and improving the Rouge system would not really work in Japan. Why? Because Toyota was in a very poor financial condition. On top of that, Japan was just recovering from the ill effects of the World War, which left the country starving for both capital and foreign exchange. Therefore, Toyota could not buy the latest Western production that was needed to improve the production efficiency and to scale up the production. So practically speaking, there was no way Toyota could compete with the American companies in two of the most crucial aspects of manufacturing, and that are capital and machinery. Now during such a time, any ordinary engineer would give up and declare that there is no way he could compete with the Americans. But E.G. Toyota was no ordinary engineer. In spite of knowing that all odds were against him, he and his team worked day in and day out to understand how could they build a competitive system against the American manufacturers. And that is when they realized that although they could not compete with the Americans with capital and machinery, there was one very crucial aspect that they could beat the Americans with. And that aspect was nothing but efficiency. So he came out with the idea of something called the lean manufacturing system. To tell you about it, E.G. Toyota understood that the standard method of operation of the US manufacturers was that they first forecasted the demand up to a certain extent and then placed bulk orders so that they can save up on the cost of machine parts and raw materials. So if there are 3 colors of cars that needed to be sold, red, black and grey, the company will produce 200 red cars, 500 black cars and 300 grey cars. And these cars will be ready to be delivered but will be stored in the inventory until the order comes up. And as soon as the customer places the order, they are immediately moved out and delivered to the customer. But in this process, the Toyota team identified that there is a major problem that in turn led to a series of 4 major inefficiencies. And the fixing of these inefficiencies is what turned Toyota into a billion-dollar company. In fact, it did not just change the way the automobile industry worked, it changed the way the entire world's supply chain worked. The question is, what were these inefficiencies and how did the Toyota team fix it? Number 1, the Toyota team realized that when the demand forecasting happened in the United States, the production always used to produce cars in surplus and never in deficit. Therefore, more often than not, it led to excessive resource allocation. This meant that unnecessary people were hired, more equipments were purchased, and more materials and products were stocked up in the inventory. And this in turn led to an increase in the overall cash cost without adding any value. Secondly, the presence of unnecessary people, equipment, and materials automatically led to overproduction. And then, overproduction further led to the third type of waste, which is excessive inventory of the final products. In this case, if there are 1000 cars that are overproduced, that is a huge amount of land that is being utilized, leading to very high maintenance cost, labor cost, and transportation cost. And lastly, when all these wastes come together, it leads to the fourth type of waste, which is unnecessary capital investment. For example, if 1000 crore loan has been taken out and if it is utilized in overproduction, do you realize it's going to stack up a crazy amount of interest cost, leading to very high cost with zero return on investment. And this further leads to more administrative cost, depreciation cost, etc. Now on the outset, it looks like a lot of things need to be changed, right? But when the team of Toyota actually understood the root cause of this problem, it was all about just one thing. Forecasting of demand led to excessive inventory, which in turn led to a chain effect resulting into the 4 types of waste. So you know what? Toyota decided to eliminate 2 of the most fundamental elements of the supply chain, and that are inventory and demand forecast. Yes, you heard that right. Toyota built a supply chain where there was no demand forecasting and zero inventory. And this is how, ladies and gentlemen, the world-class just-in-time system was born. And this system revolutionized not just the automobile industry, but also became the world standard for supply chain management in every field you can think about. And this is how it worked out. Instead of having the cars manufactured and stored into the inventory, the cars used to be available for the customers in the pamphlets and they used to be available in the showroom. And only after the customer placed the order, Toyota started manufacturing the car. Now this on the outset seems very simple, right? Well, here's what even an oversimplified process of Toyota's production looked like. Once the ideation and booking dates are finalized, the machinery and technology are acquired in 3 months. After that, the parts and components arrive in 7 days at the production center. After the booking starts coming from several dealers all across the country, the production actually starts and the parts start moving to the assembly. Now when this movement happens, based on the demand, the exact same number of parts are set to arrive every single day. So if 9,871 components have been taken to the assembly, the next day only 9,871 components will arrive. And this happened not just for one component, but the hundreds of components that were being used for the assembly. This is followed by assembly activities, and finally, the quality check is done. The vehicles that are assembled arrive at the dispatch zone, and immediately they are shipped to the dealers based on their respective orders. And this entire process is set to happen in 5 days as per the stated source in 2016. Therefore, the entire supply chain of the company starts functioning on the basis of demand and not demand forecast. This is how the just-in-time production of Toyota works, wherein even a single delay can cost the company millions of dollars in losses. And this insane precision gave Toyota 3 incredible superpowers of the rest of the competition. Number 1, in case of less demand or even if an earthquake shatters the plant, Toyota would incur only minimum damage because they had less stock of components and close to zero inventory. Furthermore, Toyota even asked its suppliers to follow the just-in-time principle for their systems, which again reduced the cost of the overall supply chain without creating a bottleneck for the suppliers. Secondly, all 4 types of waste were eliminated, resulting into extreme cost cutting. And this cost cutting turned out to be so amazing that even when other companies applied JIT, they saw 50% reduction in their inventory itself and a lead time reduction of more than 80%, eventually resulting into massive cost cutting and drastic increase in profit margins. And lastly, in case of Toyota, from 1955 onwards, Toyota's production started shooting up. They made 22,786 vehicles in 1955, 46,417 in 1956, 78,856 in 1957, and by 1965, they achieved a growth of almost 2,000%, producing 477,643 units in 1965. This is how, by striking a perfect balance between extreme efficiency and extreme risk, Toyota and its engineers built an iconic supply chain that turned them into the largest and one of the most profitable automobile companies in the world. Now the question is, as an entrepreneur, how can you apply the just-in-time concept to your company, and what are the lessons that we need to learn from a legend like E.G. Toyota? Number 1. Adversity is always the breeding ground of innovation. So if you want to learn to build the most efficient system, go back in history and find scenarios where people did not have the choice of inefficiency. Because here's where you will see the most remarkable innovations taking place that will help you beat your competition. In this case, it was the adversity of the Japanese which enabled Toyota to build a just-in-time system that helped it beat the likes of Ford and General Motors. Lesson number 2. Whenever you study the systems of your competitors or even your idle companies, never ever copy-paste the same system to solve your problems. Always look deeper and try and see how your constraints are different from their constraints, and then choose every step of execution very carefully. In this case, instead of just being fascinated by the just-in-time concept, I would urge you to look deeper into the risk involved in this strategy, which will kind of make you rethink if this strategy is even worth it. And that is when you will see that there are 3 more strategies of Toyota that help them survive along with the JIT principle. And these principles are the Kanban system, the Kaizen model, and the Jidoka method. I'll be addressing them in the upcoming episode, but until then, please do a study about Toyota's risk mitigation strategies during the 1997 Aisin-Siki fire and 2016 Kumamoto earthquake. And you will see that Toyota's entire supply chain got disrupted only because they used just-in-time. But the way they reacted to it might have a very important lesson for you to learn. And lastly, to make this entire process easier for you, I have attached 3 study materials and 2 book recommendations for you. Number 1 is the timeline of all of Toyota's innovations. Number 2 is a research paper on Toyota's system, which will help you understand the overall picture of Toyota's systems. Now, although there are a few statistical errors over there, I think the concept has been covered very well in this paper. And lastly, you will find a paper that explains the flow analysis of the entire Toyota model. I am also attaching 2 book recommendations for you. Number 1 is the Toyota Way, and number 2 is actually the second part of this bestseller, which will actually help you apply the Toyota Way to your processes. So do have a look at them and do let me know what you think about them in the comments section. That's all from my side for today, guys. If you learned something valuable, please make sure to hit the like button in order to make YouTube Baba happy. And for more such insightful business and political case studies, please subscribe to our channel. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next one. Bye bye.